Welcome back to Hannity. We have more bad news for the Democrats heading into the 2016 general election. According to Gallup, red states now outnumber blue states now for the first time since the company began tracking the data 8 years ago. Now, there are now 20 states that are solid red or leaning Republican compared to just 14 that are solid blue or lean Democrat. Now, to put it in perspective, back in 2008, the ratio was 35-5 in favor of the Democrats. Here with analysis, the author of the best-selling book, Duplicity. He's a former Speaker of the House, Fox News contributor, Newt Gingrich. That coupled with enthusiasm and a real record-breaking number of people showing up on the Republican side for the Iowa caucuses and Democrats down 25% from 2008, that seems like a huge momentum shift in the country. How do you read it?
Well, I think that's what Gallup was reporting today, and the Gallup folks thought this was very historic data. It matches what the Republican State Leadership Committee has been discovering at the legislative and local level, where there are now more Republican state legislators than any time in the entire history of the Republican Party going back to 1854. So something's happening below the presidency because the Washington news media is so focused on the White House, they haven't noticed this transition. But your point was right. If you look at the Gallup data, it goes from 35-5 in favor of the Democrats to 20-16 in favor of the Republicans. That is an earthquake in terms of political situations, and it means whether it's the House, the Senate, or the presidency, Republicans are going in with a lot of advantages. And as you pointed out, the 185,000 people who turned out, beating the Democrats, by the way, who had 171,000 turnout, that is the largest number in the history of the Republican Party in the Iowa caucus. Not only did Ted Cruz get the most votes of any Republican in history, but Donald Trump, coming in second, got the second most votes of anybody in history. So it's a big deal. And the state chairman was reporting, Jeff Kaufman was reporting on Fox and Friends Monday morning, that there have been thousands of people switch from Democrat and Independent to Republican to be able to participate. And he said they were getting like 100 phone calls an hour at the state headquarters, people wanting to join the Republican Party.
All right, then you got on the Democratic side. There's been so much talk about the Republican side. I'll ask you again in a second. Hillary wins 6 coin flips. Without those wins, why are you laughing? Bernie gets more delegates than she does. He wins. Then you've got Hillary now. It's only 49.8 to 49.7. The Iowa Democratic Party won't give out the final vote tally. And then you've got Bob Woodward lecturing Hillary to stop screaming. I'll play that in a second. And her supporters are nervous. And then you got this whole email scandal thing on the side. What do you make of this if she can't beat Bernie in Iowa?
Well, I mean, first of all, when you realize that people under 30 voted 84-14 in favor of Bernie Sanders. That's 6-1 in favor of Bernie Sanders. You get a sense of how much Hillary's turning off the next generation and how hard a general election is going to be for her. I was very surprised. Callista and I watched her speech the other night, and I thought she was so angry. It was almost like, you know.
Let me play it, because I think this is worth playing again. I thought not only angry, but now she sounded more left than Bernie, which she had never sounded like before. Watch this.
I know we can create more good-paying jobs and raise incomes for hardworking Americans again. I know that we can finish the job of universal health care coverage for every single man, woman, and child. I know we can combat climate change and be the clean energy superpower of the 21st century. I know we can make college affordable and get student debt off the backs of young people.
Howard, that is so bad. The only thing missing was the Howard Dean scream.
First of all, the obvious question to ask her is, if you knew all that, why didn't Barack Obama do it in 8 years?
Great question. And
why didn't you share your knowledge with Barack Obama?
That's an awesome question. When she comes on, I'll ask her.
She could have sent him an unclassified email.
I think you're. No, she was actually talking about cybersecurity today, and I had to.
I think that is the greatest act of chutzpah I can remember any candidate in modern times engaging in. I mean, for her to talk about cybersecurity is just a sign that she is totally out of touch with reality. And I'll bet you everyone in that audience is sitting there going, "Let me get this straight. You sent over 1,500 secret or top secret documents but you want us to think about cybersecurity.
I can see a criminal referral from the FBI and a lot of chaos ensuing after that. All right, let's go to the Republican side. Your take, your analysis, and what do you make of this Cruz, Trump, Carson dust-up?
Well, let me say, first of all, as you'll remember, because we talked about it at the time, I thought Trump made a mistake not going to the debate. I think it's pretty clear that a few more resources on field organization and going to the debate, he probably would have won. I hope he's learned a lesson from that. I think that the Cruz people did make a mistake. I think that they end up putting themselves in a position where Dr. Carson is now going to have the best of that argument, and probably made it harder for Dr. Carson to endorse Cruz should he ever decide not to be in the race. So I think that was a boo-boo. But I'll tell you what I'm bothered by right now, and I just say this openly because I think Trump is off on the wrong foot. Trump is at his best when he's big. He's at his best when he's talking about protecting America, making America great, creating jobs. I think to get down in this fight with Cruz is very much to Trump's disadvantage. Let it go. Go back to being the Donald Trump that was so dramatically far ahead everywhere in the country, and don't get involved in this kind of nitpicking stuff. I don't think it helps him. I think people get tired of it. It's like a bad vaudeville act. You've already heard it twice. You don't need it again. And I think he's making a mistake. Now, it may not hurt him in New Hampshire because New Hampshire is not very good ground for Cruz to fight on. But it continues to create space for Marco Rubio and others to grow and to become more competitive. I think that part's just wrong.
What do you think of Marco? Now, both Cruz and Trump are saying, oh, nobody's, the bronze is the new gold. I guess because he exceeded it. Why are you laughing tonight? That's what they're saying.
Well, first of all, Rubio had the cleverness to come on first, to act as though he had won, and to give a very short, very direct speech of all of his key campaign points at a point where the East Coast was still watching television. You got to give him some credit that he saw his opportunity and he took it. And he did pretty well with it. But here's the thing that's been hitting me all day, Sean, and you'll really appreciate this because you were part of it. On caucus day, you had Cruz, Trump, and Carson, who we all agree are outsiders, and they were at about 63% of the total vote, which is pretty amazing. However, the guy who came in third was the Tea Party candidate,
in 2010.
Insurgent, in 2010 against the National Senatorial Committee's hand-picked governor, who was the establishment candidate. So what's happened is the battlefield has been changed so dramatically that the center is now the Tea Party, and to the more, change-oriented side, you get Trump, Cruz, and Carson. That is a pretty, and then way over here you get the guys who aren't as much for change. That's an amazing historic fact.
And I brought that up with Marco Rubio twice today. Well pointed out. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Appreciate it as always.
Good to be with you.
Coming up next tonight on this busy news night here on Hannity.
He did it on purpose, and then he apologized after all the votes were counted. That's thousands of votes that were taken away, which, by the way, would have given me, in my opinion, would have given me the election.
Donald Trump guaranteed a victory in Iowa, and then he lost, and he doesn't like that.
No love lost between Donald Trump and Ted Cruz. The candidates are unleashing new attacks on each other in their growing feud, and then later tonight.
And of course, recently we've heard inexcusable political rhetoric against Muslim Americans that has no place in our country.
Obama speaking earlier today at the Islamic Society of Baltimore that apparently has controversial ties and a controversial background. We'll get reaction to that and much more straight ahead.